Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call the Douglas School to order on June 4th at 6:30 p.m. I'd like to read the Douglas Public Schools mission statement. The Douglas Public Schools offer a diverse learning experience that meet the academic, social, physical, and emotional needs of all of our students. We provide a safe and challenging learning environment in which students may achieve academic success and personal growth. Decisions are made in the best interest of our students. Please rise for Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. I'd like to call our student representatives up, Neo Tellis, Alina Chang, and Emma Kegels, please.
Good evening. I'm Alana Chang.
I'm Emma Kegel.
So this year has been really nice. We actually share a lot of the same classes. We take the same AP classes, and we finally finished our exams, which is pretty nice.
Yep.
We had prom a couple of weeks ago, and it was really fun at Pleasant Valley.
Yeah, it was great. We also just had our spring sports pep rally, which had a kickball game between the baseball and softball team and outdoor track. That was interesting.
Yeah, it was fun though.
That was fun.
Yeah.
It was a good spirit builder.
And then we already completed all of our AP exams, and the senior finals are done. And the STARS testing, thankfully, since we're on a higher level of classes, we don't have to take the STAR testing. So that's pretty cool.
That's also finished.
And this is Neo.
This is Neo.
So, as they have said, a lot of the assessments have completed, and great things are happening at Douglas High School. Everybody is excited for their MCAS to be over. Finals are coming up, and I mean, gauging from like the people that I've talked to, they don't seem too worried about finals. It seems like the teachers have prepared them well enough. A lot of people seem not too worried. People were taking the science MCAS today, and I didn't hear them like complain too much about it. I'd say that things are looking pretty good.
Our seniors just had a lot of events take place. They did their senior stroll through all the schools. It's always great to see them. Class night and graduation just happened last Friday. Our
softball team.
Our softball team won our first MIA state tournament game on Sunday.
And then we already held our science MCAS today, and that went really well for the students that took it. We talked to them. And our awards night is on Thursday for the band, chorus, color guard. And it's always nice to show up and support them because it's a small group, and we hope to expand it over time.
And just a few days ago, we had the DVC conference where a lot of people got awards. Plenty of Douglas athletes. Emma here is one of them. She got a DVC All-Stars the other day. There were drinks and refreshments, and everybody had a wonderful time. I think it was a great show for Douglas and all of the other schools that attended.
Yeah. Anything else?
You want to add?
I just have one more thing. Ladies and gentlemen, while I still have your attention, I would like to mention one more event that has recently happened at DHS. We have been informed that as of next year, 3 of our science classes, meteorology, astronomy, and AP environmental science, will no longer be in the curriculum. As a student body, we believe that these are very valuable classes, and I respectfully urge you to take our opinion into consideration. Removing these classes from the curriculum will take away an opportunity to explore a wider variety of sciences which are highly relevant in today's world. It could also impact our ability to complete a STEM concentration or a global concentration, as it takes away 3 classes that we could earn as credits. As a student who is currently taking AP Environmental Science and is considering a career in this field, along with other students who I also know are doing this, we believe that this is a very important class to keep, and we cannot stress it enough. We've prepared a petition demonstrating our support of keeping these classes and would greatly appreciate your taking the time to review it. Thank you.
Now, if you all wouldn't mind, I would love to conclude our time together with a speech. Many say education is the key to success. With this being said, many children walking in the path of education will grow up to become future politicians, engineers, scientists, doctors, lawyers, and more. As a child of immigrants, I am beyond thankful to my parents for raising me in this country and for working hard to give me the opportunities I deserve. If you all didn't know, I aspire to become a surgeon in the future, thanks to my teachers and classes that have shaped the way I dream. But how can other students and I enrolled in Douglas schools follow our dreams if our education is being torn apart from us? Matter of fact, why switch around teachers' roles? I wouldn't say I'm the smartest, but I love challenging courses. I love challenging myself academically. Over the course of my years here that I have attended Douglas, I have taken a total of 6 science classes, 4 of them being honors and 2 of them being AP. I would most certainly recommend AP Environmental Science to any upcoming Douglas student. This class taught me wonderful ways, and
It set you up for success.
it set me up for success. It exposes the students to the medical, environmental, political, biological, and chemical stance to what us as humans and other natural causes do to the planet that we live in. And that is all I have.
Any questions?
Thank you, all 3 of you are very well spoken.
Thank you.
Thank you for your
You did a
time.
wonderful job.
Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you, guys.
Anybody else here for moving on to public comment and communications? Seeing that there is none, turning it over. Any old business we need to
There isn't
discuss? And moving on to news business, please.
Sure, so I am really happy to have Margaret Driscoll, the Executive Director of MASBO, and also a member of the school committee in Melrose, and Dan Sanderson from Visual Edge to present the John F. Conway Distinguished Service Award to Courtney. So I'll have you come up there and do your thing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Superintendent. It's such a pleasure to be here, and we're very grateful to share some good news with all of you. As Superintendent Vieira noted, I'm the Margaret Driscoll, Executive Director of the Mass Association of School Business Officials, and we're so delighted that this year's John F. Conway Distinguished Service Award is conferred on your Assistant Superintendent for Business and Operations, Courtney Keegan. The Conway Award recognizes the accomplishments of MASBO members relative to enhancing the effectiveness of a school district in addressing its educational mission. This award is made possible through MASBO's partnership with Kenmark Visual IT, represented today by Dan Sanderson, and it comes with a $1,500 contribution to the district in Ms. Keegan's name. Her nominee, Superintendent Vieira, who, by the way, called me in January and said, how can I do something special? So the group was very appreciative of the superintendent's nomination and how comprehensive and compelling it was. And he opened with your mission statement, which the chair read so beautifully and which is so compelling to so many students and families in Douglas, I'm sure. He indicated that your collective assistant superintendent works daily to bring the vision of your mission to life. She's student-centered and always looks for value added. All districts have their financial struggles and obstacles, and she is always asked to find money and budget for things. She does an amazing job watching every taxpayer penny on a daily basis and pushes back on all of us to be financially responsible. But when asked for an SEL program, textbooks for students, new technology, professional development to help students and staff, she makes things happen so that students and teachers have what they need to succeed. She is innovative and solves problems. She budgets oil to the gallon, electricity to the kilowatt hour, and always pushes back on quotes to get a lower price. This allows all of you to keep staff and, as she says, keep our doors open. She always seeks to understand and learn before making a decision or reacting to an issue, researching Massachusetts general laws and municipal finance laws, and looking at things from all angles. Her attention to detail is second to none. Courtney, warmest congratulations on winning one of MASBO's most prestigious awards. And Mr. Sanderson has a beautiful award to share.
There you go. Thank you.
It's heavy, okay.
With the committee, can we do a group, can we do a group picture?
Sure.
Yeah.
Take a picture right over here in front.
I want a picture with everybody, because it takes everybody to do everything.
I'd like to see it.
Make sure it's facing my-
Oh, yeah, good, good. And actually, we don't want it upside down either.
Thank you.
I don't know.
Thank you.
We're going to put this right
Yes,
here.
right back, yeah.
No, we'll leave it right, we'll leave it right there. Thank you so much for coming. I'll see you this-
Thank you so much for
Dan.
coming in tonight.
Coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And again, just congratulations to, I know she's going to say a few words, but it's been awesome working with Courtney for 5 years, and from the bottom of my heart, I'm going to miss her when she retires. I'm excited for when she does. I said this early, but this is just a testament to the time that she's put in her decades, whether it's been on the town side, whether it's been on the school side, whether it's been in Massachusetts, whether it's been in Connecticut, doing something. So I'm just thrilled and happy that MASBO recognized you for this. And again, it is a testament to your decades of work for students, always watching that taxpayer dollar.
Prudently
right?
conservative.
Prudently conservative. There is a retirement speech that's
My
being
phrase.
planned for Courtney that has what I call my Courtneyisms. So we have those ready. Prudently conservative will be one of them, as will MGL and municipal finance laws.
value added.
And value added. So we have a list of Courtneyisms that we'll talk about. But again, congratulations,
Okay.
Courtney.
Thank you. And I want to say, first I want to say that, no one does anything in isolation. Okay, and I've said it many times before, it's been great working with Paul the last 5 years, it's been great working with the school committee, and without everybody working together and collaboratively, nobody can do anything. No individual can achieve anything. So that's the most important thing, and that goes for everybody, school committee, the administrators, the staff, my staff, in the central office, the business office, custodians, cafeteria workers, bus drivers, it's absolutely everybody. That, without everybody pulling together, you can't even have a district, let alone whether it's a good district or moving forward or anything. So that's absolutely number one. And so going forward, I would love that to, be the case for everybody to just continue to work wonderfully together, because we're all here for the kids. It's all about the kids. It doesn't matter what anybody's doing, whether they're getting a lunch or they're getting their bus ride to school or getting a bus ride home, or, dealing with the myriad of few little issues that we deal with throughout the day, or whatever it is. It's always with the students in mind. And I know that from our leadership team meetings and everything, that is what everybody thinks about. We know that when we're together at these school committee meetings. We know that when we're struggling, through the budget process, or even when we're at finance committee meetings or with the town, we're all, even on the town side, we're struggling because everybody cares about the students in town, because they're also residents in town. They're part of the town, they're part of the community. So that's really where it's at. But I do want to thank everyone, and I want to thank Paul for doing this. It really, really meant a lot to me, especially at this juncture after 30 years, and it really, really means a lot. And thank you again to Margaret
Driscoll in Kenmark as well. I mean, she's been wonderful to work with, the executive director. She's a wonderful executive director, and I love the email she sends out that keeps us all apprised of what's going on and everything. So I just appreciate what everybody does. Okay, thank you.
I think all of us want to congratulate you, and well-deserved. So grateful to Dr. Vieira for nominating you. Thank you so much for coming. And Courtney, we're going to miss you so much. I'll get sentimental and start crying.
Yeah, I don't
So
want to.
I'm gonna pass it on.
I already told Paul. I already told Paul. I feel like I went in his office. I don't know if anybody knows. I don't mind saying this publicly, but I went in, after we were going through the interview process, whatever. I went in his office and I had to say, I said, you know what, Paul? I said, I kind of feel like we're getting a divorce. No, really, it kind of feels like that. Not that we can't still be in touch, but we work so.
It was an amicable
You know what I
divorce.
mean? Yes,
No
thank you.
attorneys were
Yes,
needed.
yes.
We found the document on the
Thank you for
website. It was
qualifying
easy.
that. Thank you for qualifying that. That is the important
Yeah.
word, amicable. Yeah, I should have said that.
Amicable.
But it's funny how it feels. You have to work so closely together all the time with all the stuff that hits you all day long, and it was weird. It just hit me one day. And back to your point, Meg. Yeah. So,
I know.
it's tough.
Madam Chair, may I?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again, and I'm sure I'll say it again before you actually officially retire, but what you've done for the district is no short of a miracle. As we all know, that Douglas doesn't have the largest tax base, not a ton of business revenue and taxes, yet we are sitting here, fully funded. We're not going to the town for a 2.5 prop override or any such thing. I know. I say it boldly. But that's in large part because of you. And you operate as if you're almost like an oracle, or you have like a crystal ball, like you're looking down the line and you have to do the what ifs and the maybes, and you're piling money away to save, prudently conservative, and all of the hard work and attention to detail, which you'll see when you're going through those accounts payable, and it's every little line for pages are marked by Courtney, and I am glazed over by page 2. So, and I am like, I trust you so much, and the district has been in such wonderful hands. We really cannot thank you enough. This award is a huge step in the right direction, but I have a feeling, every student here who's going to go on and live their lives, it's in large part because of you made it possible. So thank you from the bottom of my heart and all the students and families in Douglas.
I really appreciate that. Thank you, Julia. But again, without what my staff does and what other people do, I couldn't do what I do so I want to make sure that it's, back to that again. So, because that's a fact, but thank you. Thank you.
I just want to say thank you for teaching us what you teach us. Thank you for answering the questions. Thank you for opening the books and saying, come in, sit down, have a cup of coffee. Let's talk about this. I want you to understand it. I don't think I've ever seen that anywhere else, and I'm very grateful for the time you've spent with me personally, teaching me, answering my thousands of questions in mom language. I really appreciate everything you've done for us.
Well, I do take that really seriously, and I say that to every new member when they start, that you can come in anytime, I'll answer. I want you to look at the warrants. I'm not just looking for a signature. Because you have to take it, it really is a serious thing. The whole thing is very serious. It is taxpayers' money. People work hard for that money. And I want people to understand, so that, say somebody out there says something negative, they're just blowing money or whatever at the school department. Anybody, in fact, anybody actually, if anybody wants to come in and look at the accounts, sit down and look at,
How you do things, how you instruct people, again, Mass General Law, well, here's why, right? But there's always a reason why. There's a story behind the reason why we do things the way we do it and how we budget it. And then if there is a requirement, or if we say, Courtney, can you go look at this? You do that. You shoot us an email, or you pick up the phone and call us, and we have a conversation about it, right? Budgeting process is a wonderful thing, folks. If you really want to know what goes on in the school, that's really where it comes from, is understanding the budgeting process. So your leadership, I know that award is not just you, it's your team behind it as well as our staff, all of us together. But we honor you because you have been just like a superstar, right? Through the good years and the really lean years in Douglas. We would not be where we are, right? So, I mean, we did some draconian measures about 10 years ago, if people don't know that. And if you look back at that now to where we are today, it's night and day, but it was because we had to go through that dark period that led us to where we are today. And because Courtney was prudently conservative, right? We have not had to go back to the town for the 2.5 override, right? Other towns around us don't have that, right? Because they're not fiscally responsible with their taxpayer dollars. The ARPA funding, like we didn't use that for staff. That is just one example. Right? Because most people used it for their staff. We didn't use that, right? So, I mean, those are financial management regulatory tools that you utilize to move the district forward, but we didn't use it for staff. That's the difference of why we're in a better shape today, is because of your leadership and your guidance to us.
I really
So-
appreciate that. Thank you so much. And I'll just say one more thing. So is Jean Lovett, the finance director,
Yes.
town accountant, and I always say there's always a story behind the numbers.
And again,
And we'll end with that.
and Jean is just wonderful too, and I'm sure
Yes.
she is more than happy because she's part
Yes.
of it too. Without both sides working
She
together, the
absolutely
time
is.
with the school,
Yep.
we wouldn't be where we are today.
Yep,
So
and that's
again,
absolutely
truly
a fact.
appreciate your efforts.
We're like this.
Thank you so much, Courtney.
Okay, thank you,
Congratulations.
everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's the most uncomfortable I've seen Courtney
I
in
know,
5
I'm not
years.
good with that, I know.
All right, thank you. So, as we dive into my report, one thing I just want to do is start off by congratulating the class of 2025. We had graduation on Friday night. That Tuesday night, we had our awards ceremony, where close to $200,000 in scholarships given out to members of the class of 2025. And although a lot of times, and most times in schools, you see seniors thanking their high school teachers, it starts with the primary school. It starts with what happens. I don't know if Cindy was there 12 years ago, but the foundation and the amount of time, that I spend down, you have our preschool, our K and our 1 teachers teaching kids those base skills of tying shoes, zipping up jackets, sitting still, making eye contact, all those skills. We've seen in the past 15, 20 years that shift of kindergartens, the new grade 1, and preschools, and K's the new grade 1. So we've seen kids progress. What happens at the elementary school? What happens at the middle school? So it's a testament to all of the teachers who got our kids to this point. And I was looking at the list of where the graduates were going, and it's such a wonderful section. We have a lot of kids who are going out into the workforce, which is awesome and wonderful. We have a lot of kids going to Worcester State. We have students going to Quincy Sig. But, we have a student going to UMass Amherst, but they're doing their freshman year at the Madrid campus. We have someone going to Clemson University. We have a lot of people going to Worcester State. We have a couple people going into the service. We have someone going down to University of Tampa, University of Maine. I saw one here, James Madison University. So our kids are not only staying in Massachusetts. I love seeing the progression, what I call outside that 495 belt, which is great. And, for a lot of our kids, they're first-generation college goers, which is awesome. And I'm just thrilled to see what the members of the class are doing, and that's a testament to the staff who got them there. So just a big congratulations to the class of 2025, and I wish them the best in their, whatever they set up to do. And I'm envious of them too, because that 18 to 25 frame is such a fun time in people's lives. So that's awesome. First on the agenda is just a quick Building and Facility Construction Committee update. Every 3 years, that position becomes available, and it is a school committee appointment. We've posted on the website, we've posted newsletters, we'll continue to post to see if there's any interest. It is a 3-year volunteer position, the committee is responsible for overseeing and directing all major public improvements constructed within the town of Douglas, and will provide consistent and professional oversight over public construction projects in the town. The town is specifically seeking residents who are engineers, architects, attorneys, financial professionals, and those who are employed in the building and construction trades. So if for whatever reason there's someone watching at home right now who fits one of those things and you're interested, please let me know. We'll post it, but we'll be back to the school committee for an appointment of that individual whenever we get someone.
What happened to I thought we had a gentleman?
We did, and we reached out to him, and he's no longer interested in continuing.
So I think I might have somebody. I
Okay.
just have to reach out to her.
Okay.
She's on several boards within the town, so
Okay.
I'm sure this is right up her
Okay.
alley.
Perfect.
So I think
Perfect.
I can probably convince her.
Awesome. All right. We have a lot of presentations, reports tonight. First, we have Dr. Rosenthal coming up with his Seaside follow-up report. Seaside was a consulting firm that we contracted with about a year and a half ago to do an audit of our special education department. They provided us about 13 bullet points, or as Greg will say, 13 buckets of things that we need to focus in on. We've now had this report a little over a year, and as we end the 24-25 school year, I wanted Dr. Rosenthal to give the committee and the community a quick little update as to where we are and where we still need to go. If you remember from the presentation when they came, you can't accomplish all this in 1 year. It's a 3, 4, 5-year project, but I wanted Greg to give an update as to where they are. With that said, I'll turn it over to you, Dr. Rosenthal.
Thank you, Dr. Vera. So as Dr. Vera mentioned, the whole process and background behind it, this request was prior to my start here, and it was really to give a directive for the department as we were moving forward and looking to make adjustments just to certain practices. So as we're going through, this is kind of just the outline of where we've gone with some initiatives and recommendations from the Seaside assessment. We have 13 kind of points that they're looking at. First couple are really prior to the special education in the IEP. It's the process for the student support teams and the multi-tiered system of support for MTSS, or the implementation of response to intervention. The third one is talking about programs and services. Now, I'm just going a brief overview. As we go through, we're going to have the buckets and how we've addressed them. On to the next. District needs to improve, to develop a more comprehensive approach to professional development. IEPs need to be tailored to individual needs. We're looking at transition practices and need to be structured in a more sequential and consistent manner, and just establish criteria around which paraprofessionals are assigned to students and group of students, programs, or a classroom. Also, the district needs to develop effective strategies to improve parent awareness and their understanding of their child's disability. Then we go down to the next few buckets. There needs to be a thorough review of what data the district is collecting to improve decision-making and internal practices, a thorough review of evidence-based best practices that are applicable to the various special education instruction and support programs, administrative oversight for programming services, special education personnel, and redefined what the structure within the special education department is. We look to do an update to the procedural handbook. That's more of a compliance component. And then lastly, entrance and exit criteria for programs. So pre-referral process is the first bucket. This really has been a focal point. I'm sorry, going back, this is recommendations 1 and 2. So this has been a big focal point of our principals. They have a uniform process. One of our, Dr. Vieira's areas that we talked about at our summer retreat, and ensuring that we have a uniform process. We want to make sure that data is being collected and we're making data-driven decisions for interventions, and not over-identifying special education students if we haven't gone through the process. So each of the building principals have made that a focal point and really ensured that the process is a continuum throughout the district. So, and it's uniform, and they're using similar language and forms. And that aligns to Department of Ed's guidelines or guidance with the RTI, response to intervention, and the MTSS process. So once different interventions can be identified, the team puts together a 4 to 6 week process to ensure that some support can go into for students who might be struggling. This could go into the individual student support plans, ISSPs, or it could be different areas of support with families, but it's been a major focal point within the district and across all 4 of our schools.
Do you want questions now or later, Greg?
Just one more slide, and then we can probably go do a bucket question. Unless you have the slide. And then we, just improvement of tiered instruction model. We're committed to enhancing the implementation. As mentioned, we talked about the individual student support plans, which have been a major focus. This includes ongoing training for educators and differentiated instruction. We brought in an outside provider to come in and discuss differentiated instruction at our buildings, which was really helpful for this process. And just knowing what we can do for our district curriculum accommodation plan, which is just accommodations given to all students, and then what is that next level of tier instruction and differentiation that we can provide. So questions on bucket 1?
Do you mind?
Absolutely.
How are you and the staff, how are you differentiating between having this uniform practice but also complying with Childmind? Are the staff having any difficulties with, because it can be very confusing, so how's that working?
So it continues to be an ongoing process. So one of the things that we've done as a department and part of the policies, procedures that we talked about, if a parent sends in a referral for special education evaluation for an initial, we ask that that starts going through the RTI MTSS process. Because if there is a disability that is impacting instruction, we want to start mitigating that concern immediately. We also want to start collecting data for that. But in reverse, if there's concern from staff and they bring that to the student support teams, we start developing plans in determining if there's interventions that could be put into place for a short term where it overcomes any types of gaps within student learning or student presentation or development. And if the data shows that that is still a barrier, then that's when the process goes into a referral for special education. And that team would send that over to the department.
So that to me, and I appreciate your explanation, but that to me is concerning because as a parent, if I go to the school and I request an evaluation, I'm legally asking the school district for an evaluation, and that starts that 5-day timeline to send out the consent.
Yes.
So is it being done
In conjunction.
In conjunction? Okay.
So if a parent sends that in, we want to start collecting the data for Ed A and B forms. That's really important for us. What is being tried? What has been done?
Which for anybody that's watching that doesn't know, that's a teacher form that teachers bring to meetings.
So that's something that we've initiated this year, and something that we continue to push for as a practice. But that doesn't negate the requirement by IDEA that when the parent sends in the request, we send out the evaluation and response within the 5 school days. And then that also sends that referral over to the SST.
No, that's helpful because I would be concerned that building-based staff could give families, well, no, we can't do this evaluation because you have to go through this process, and that would be concerning.
Yeah, absolutely not. Yeah, it's actually just another data point for us and really helpful for the team.
Thank you.
Other questions, Michael? All right,
Not right at the moment.
on to bucket 2, specialized instruction and programs. This is recommendations 3, 10, 11, and 13. So, the first year, there was a big review of the department. Coming in, new to the district, there was a lot that we had to go through to determine where we were as a department. There had been some turnover previously, and we just wanted to make sure we were making decisions that were based upon as much information as we could. So we did a thorough review. Again, the Seaside component of this came in and determined if the adjustments to sub-separate programs and inclusion practices needed to be made. So this is where we're at with that bucket. So consistency, next slide is consistency in co-teaching practices. So we want to promote effective learning environments. We want to establish clear guidelines and frameworks for co-teaching practices and consistency across classrooms that can be emphasized in ensuring that co-teachers are well prepared to collaborate and provide cohesive instructional support. We aim to have inclusive environments. So last year, as presented earlier, this year, last August, as presented, I believe in September, we did the Champions of Co-Teaching. What we did was we brought in a gen ed teacher and special ed teacher from each building who were going to be working together. And we did a 2-day, highly intensive training. The survey afterwards was important because they thought that there was some areas that could be adjusted, but they thought overall it was beneficial. The reason why we called it Champions of Co-Teaching is we wanted to make sure that we had people who could represent co-teaching within the building. As the district moves forward with this model, you have people that are trained in each building now, and as we expand that training to others who are co-teaching, there is already someone who they can start bouncing ideas off of. And that was sort of the theory behind the Champions component of that. So the 2-day training happened in August. Really worked highly on different strategies of co-teaching, our 7 different ones, and co-planning. And overall, it was beneficial from the survey at least, and the responses there. I should probably, come to think of it now that we're talking it out, I'll probably do an end of the year survey and just see what we could do or what would be important moving forward. So we put a big push forward this year on research-based reading instruction. We talked about having teachers trained in Orton-Gillingham. Previously, we had a handful of teachers across the district trained from either staff leaving or no longer doing the training. We didn't have as many as we previously did. So what we did, now we have 3 new staff at the middle school trained, 2 new staff at the elementary school trained, and that is, the plan is to continue to develop across the district and incorporate more teachers at the primary, at the high school, and then see where we're at with staffing and maybe add some more within the elementary and the middle. But having 5 teachers trained in Orton-Gillingham over the course of the year is significant. It more than doubled what we currently have. So we really put a lot of emphasis on that this year.
Yeah, that's vital when they start, especially in the primary and elementary school, is getting those building foundation down pat, because that unlocks everything for that they do. I'm curious if I could ask about the co-teaching survey. How do we know it's successful? Because we're waiting till the end of the year. So principals, if you're going to come up and talk, I'd like to know, this is probably one of, I think, a summer retreat item, because I think that this is invaluable, because you should be able to walk into a classroom and
No,
not know the difference, right? And so, I'm just curious, because it's a year later, and we're gonna do a survey, but how do we know if it was successful or not? That's, I think, is critical.
So the first survey was more geared towards the training itself, not the practice, but the training, because that was, for me, to how do I adjust the training to if we're going to present it to a larger body. So kind of having a smaller group and really have some of that feedback, so that would help support what the training would look like for more staff and across the district. So, but in the next survey, we can look at the actual practice of that instead of focus on the training. So as presented last school committee, there's the enhancement of the intensive instruction program, the social emotional learning program, and the language learning programs. I'm not going to go too deep in this one because we just had a big presentation last school committee on this one, but I do have to give big credit to the two coordinators, Kate Buck and Sarah Cozy, that they've done an amazing job
They did an awesome
putting this
job.
together. So absolutely wonderful. All right. On to compliance. That's 11 and 12. So department has made this a priority for us. We had the tiered focus monitoring, which for those at home, that's when Department of Ed comes out and looks at all of our files and requirements for the IDEA and following timelines. Part of that, we did have a finding. We had, off the top of my head, I forget if it was 4 or 5 findings. Yeah, 4 or 5, and we've made that a priority to get the district back into compliance. Part of that, we incorporated a new position, which is the SPED clerk. So again, Carrie has been absolutely instrumental in ensuring that we are in compliance. She's been absolutely amazing. She's definitely a great find. Has done excellent work this year. We've also, over the summer, we created the policy and procedure manual. We've updated that to the new IEP, which who's responsible for what, and then what forms are required and who's responsible for what. So the previous policy just basically put in a lot of what Department of Ed requires, the timelines and this sort of thing. What we did as a group is put in the procedure. So who's responsible for what? What is the requirement of the coordinator? What is the requirement of the admin assistant? What's the requirement of the staff, the teachers? So kind of outlines that so people have a go-to. If, especially new hired staff, they come in, what is my responsibility? It's right there. It's a living document. And it's something that we've actually gone back and looked over the course of the year to make sure it is working. And if it's not, we have made some adjustments. Who's responsible for what? Who's going to send out progress reports, so on and so forth. So it is something that continues to be adjusted. So that's sort of the bucket for compliance. We've definitely made that a focus for the department. Tiered focus monitoring will be completed by August. Right now, we're down to just 1 left, and we'll be fully back into compliance with Department of Ed's eyes. We have until August for that. Any questions on the compliance bucket?
So, the one that we're not in compliance with, when did you say would be August that we'd be back in compliance?
We have until August to finish that, and we've already submitted documentation. There's another progress report on June 17th that I'll be submitting, and then a follow-up in July.
So is it a monthly report that we have to provide a status on? Is
So
that the reason why it's
previously-
taking a year?
So previously, it was roughly about 12 weeks. So we had, it came out in August. We started the process, and I submitted our first progress report early October, and then there was a follow-up in November, and then it came down to either the end of January or early February. They came back on site in April. That was one of them. So their site visit, and that's when we were all but one area of compliance. And it was a timeline one of evaluation, and then we just have some training to do, or components to that, and just one more upload of evidence that we're following the training and ensuring that we're in compliance with those timelines.
Are we currently in compliance of timelines?
It was, so with the record review, there was one area with the evaluation timeline. So they gave us some recommendations based upon that. So for a lot of our evaluations, there was that gap between the anniversary date of the IEP and when the evals were due. And really what we're, as a district, we've been trying to do is get that back. The finding, the prior finding was that we had gone months without doing an eval prior to, the department being here. So it's taken a while to get us back to that area, and we were outside by minimal time, days, if any, and there was communication with parents on that, so we just have to tighten that up just a little bit.
Are we behind, do we have any evaluations right now that are late? Do we have any kids right now that are late for anything?
No, so what we're doing, when we meet weekly as a department, we go through each of those. And it wasn't so much that we're out of compliance to the timeline, it was how we're documenting the timeline, date, and time, so.
I think I would like to hear again a follow-up, because if you're saying that our next meeting is the end of June.
So we have a Zoom meeting on the 18th, and I'm going to have the coordinators come back. They did the presentation, I can't remember, in May. We're in June right now. On May 21st,
Our
they came
last
in.
meeting.
Our
Yeah,
last
May
meeting. They
21st,
came back
yeah.
on May 21st. They met with staff on Tuesday. They've done a survey for staff to get feedback. I know the committee asked for how that went, so they'll be back on the 18th to give an update on their presentation to staff. And would you like an update on compliance?
Absolutely.
Perfect. Yep. Next meeting, yep.
Yep.
Thank you.
So in conclusion, as Dr. Vera mentioned, this wasn't a report that was supposed to be completed within 1 year. The 13 areas of recommendations was supposed to be a multi-year process. I know we didn't hit on every one of the 13, but that's something that was part of the recommendation. You're going to focus on very specific areas and then continue the development. So, any other questions?
Do you have any question?
And again, this was a heavy audit that we did
Oh, yeah.
2 years ago, and we spent a lot of money doing it. I'm a believer that if you're gonna do an audit, you can't get the results and just have it sit on a shelf and
No,
collect
you
dust.
have to-
So we will continue coming back to the committee and the community to update them on our progress. As I said, it's been one of my goals, RTI, MTSS, all the acronyms. You're never going to fully implement MTSS. It's an ongoing process, but there's a lot of good work here that the consultants did, and it's important that we continue to highlight this, to work on this. It's what our kids need, it's what our kids deserve from the community. So thank you, Dr. Rosenthal, for that.
Yep, thank you.
Next up, very exciting stuff. I know that's very professional. Very exciting. We have Mr. O'Brien coming up to talk about the new ELA and math textbooks at the middle school. This is exciting, and I'm trying to hype Bob up here a little bit for this present, for his 40 slide deck that we'll try. I'm gonna reframe the slide deck now, that we're gonna go a little bit quicker through, so we're not going through slide deck fatigue.
I get the hint, Dr. Vieira.
Excuse me?
You got the hint, wasn't
You got the hint, good. You got the hint. Bob and the middle school staff did a lot of work in picking a new ELA and a new math program. We have done a homegrown program for years, and again, our teachers did a phenomenal job putting together and creating a program. But we also need to make sure that we're hitting all the standards, we have the ability to track all the standards, we have the ability to do all that. And these programs provide another phenomenal resource to our students and to our staff for what we're going to do. I've mentioned it here before,